Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. We're virtual only based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact us. We do the thought behind the thought, the philosophy of eschatology, the end of days. What you need to know, your reality or existence. We're studying Revelation a little bit each week. And what we're trying to go through, what we're trying to solve is Revelation 13, how we get to the beast system, a little bit of 17 too. So we'll cover 13, 17 today. So we're basing it on Wilkerson and how things are moving towards what Wilkerson said. Now, if you go back to 1973, his stuff sounded ridiculous, like the EU falling or Germany falling. Well, even 5 years ago, that was ridiculous. Well, it's happening now. Europe is not involved because the United States has not seen the need to involve Europe. Wow, that's Keir Giles, Chatham House Senior Consulting Fellow. What does that mean? Well, Trump is sick and tired of them. So let's do the thought behind the thought. Let's weave in Wilkerson, a little bit of Dumitru Duduman, give you the Bible, give you prophecy, give you the news. Okay. So Venezuela at the crosshairs, in the crosshairs. Trump closes country's airspace in its entirety. Strikes on land will be starting very soon. It looks like it. This is from Rare Foundation. To all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. Well, because they've been running drugs through and we're sick and tired of it. So Trump did the right thing there. But the Europeans don't like it. They never like anything. We'll get to that. Okay, on the right hand side, Eric Doherty. Breaking. It's been confirmed that the massive military buildup in our own hemisphere isn't just about Maduro and Venezuela. It's about getting Russia and China and Iran out of the Western hemisphere. Now, that's what I voted for. Okay, I did too. Should President Trump order strikes against Maduro regime, about 30% of all deployed American warships, including the huge one, Gerald R. Ford, are now on station. 200 Tomahawk cruise missiles in theater aboard destroyers, and U.S. Marines aboard the USS Iwo Jima. Wow. They stopped by Puerto Rico the other day. Wow, wow. I mean, it's huge. Warships, everything's ready to go. So let's go through all the little stories here. So this is from U.S. Homeland Security News, but it's a commentary account. So it's like this is their propaganda from our United States government. Alert. An emergency phone conference between President Trump and dictator Maduro. Trump tells Maduro the only way to stop an attack is to step down and leave the country now. Will he? I don't know. I mean, he's ratcheted it up. Okay, so in the middle here, defense intelligence, U.S. military aircraft, including B-52 bombers and F-A-18s escorts, are conducting near constant patrols in international airspace off Venezuela's coast, part of an escalating push against Maduro's regime amid drug trafficking ops and broader tensions. A flex of power not seen in Latin America for decades. That's the Washington Post. Down below, lower left, extremely dangerous, Moscow News. And so this is going to have a slant from Moscow. The major mobilization of the Bolivarian army led by Maduro after he rejected U.S. President Donald Trump's offer to leave Venezuela and step down from power. So it looks like it's going to pop up. He's not going to leave. We thought he left yesterday, but he didn't. On the right hand side, you see the picture of Venezuela. No airplanes are flying there. Everybody's going around, and you can see which ones are military and non military, things like that. Lower right hand side. Cheyenne News breaking. Russia abandons Venezuela. Russia has just begun evacuating its citizens from Venezuela and halted flights to Caracas amid the imminent fall of the Venezuelan narco terrorist dictator Nicolas Maduro and a U.S. military operation to remove his criminal regime. Interesting. What I want you to see here as we move through to the end with Wilkerson and Duduman is Latin America plus Russia plus a little bit of China in there too. Okay? Just file that away and look for the prophecies later on. It comes at the end. You know that. Okay. On the left-hand side, Chinese military officers infiltrated in Venezuela are seen in the El Libertado air base in Maracay amid growing military tension with the United States. So they've got their own spies over there. It's expected. Chinese are in Mexico and Canada too, Cuba also, encircling the U.S. while their implants like Kelly, Walls, and others try to lay a smokescreen with lies and violence. That's from Sterling X on X, of course. Xi Jinping has escalated China's military-civil fusion, incorporating military units within state ventures. And so basically what they're saying is they have troops over in Venezuela, and they have them all throughout South America. The Chinese will flee like roaches at the first sign of combat. Russia is the main worry, and they've already indicated they will not defend, and you've seen that twice now, that they will not defend Maduro. Okay? But there will be scorn a few years from now. Just keep that in mind. So just inside mainland China, he started to implement military and civil combination departments with banks and others. So basically, they're working with these allies of Venezuela and Kazakhstan, setting up military plans potentially, but they'll run as soon as the United States ratchets things up. Alex Jones on the left-hand side, boom, Secretary of State Marco Rubio tells the EU to stay out of our hemisphere. That's going to be the theme of this video too. There's a bunch of themes, but that's one of them. Marco said, get lost. Okay, I don't think the European Union gets to determine what international law is, and they certainly don't get to determine how the United States defends its national security, especially in our hemisphere. The United States is under attack from an organized criminal narco-terrorists in our hemisphere, and the president is responding in the defense of our country. Okay, on the right-hand side, so that's Marco. Alternative news: EU kept in the dark about Trump's Ukraine peace plan. Telegraph. So you see it not only in South America or Central America too, but also with Ukraine. He's just not talking to Europe at all. They say they are the new warlords. Well, they're not really. So yeah, they hate being cut out. Okay, way down in the bottom, this is Jeffrey Sachs, and you can see his picture with the blue arrow by him. Columbia University professor Jeffrey Sachs. Europe is acting like a stupid idiot. Trump doesn't recognize Europe at all. Why should they sit at the negotiating table? There are reasons. Okay, so this is Bloomberg on the left, and we've got EU leaders skip Latin American summit after avoiding irking Trump. So basically, and this is Bloomberg, guys, okay, from November 4th. So European leaders, including Chancellor Merz and Ursula von der Leyen, will skip EU summit with Latin America and Caribbean states due in part to concerns over angering U.S. President Donald Trump. They're afraid of him, okay? Arnaud Bertrand, yeah, on the right-hand side, absolutely unreal. EU leaders are abandoning their relations with South America to avoid irking Trump. And they want to get along. Trump doesn't want to get along with weak leaders. How insane is that? Sabotaging your diplomatic relationships to demonstrate that kind of weakness that ensures Trump will treat you even more disrespectfully. That's the theme, okay? So now, as we move towards Ukraine, we just covered Latin America, but we'll cover them again during prophecy at the end. But the main thing is Witkoff and Kushner to offer Ukrainian land to Putin in Moscow meeting. So they're not including Europe in on this at all. They're just going to hand over Ukrainian land. The report stated that U.S. President Donald Trump will send special envoys Witkoff and Kushner to Moscow to make a direct offer to Russian President Vladimir Putin. And that's the J-Post. It's accurate, too. So on the right-hand side, it's increasingly clear that Americans don't care about the European position. They say the Europeans can do, I'm sorry, I can't read it underneath there, whatever they wanted. A source told British newspaper, Putin stressed that the U.S. recognition of Crimea, Donbass, made up of Donetsk and Luhansk, regions, our Russian territory would be instrumental in negotiations. He wants the territory, okay? And Trump's going to give it to him because Putin's earned it. And he doesn't want war anymore. I mean, is a million lives worth a couple of square inches? Just be done with it, okay? U.S. proposed plan to end the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Kiev would cede Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk. Donetsk would become a neutral, demilitarized buffer zone once Ukraine cedes its forces. Interesting. This is Le Monde, which is a French newspaper. They're a puppet of South Africa. And so, but the quotes are interesting. Flattery and humiliation. Europe's Trump diplomacy nightmare. So the EU is afraid of Trump right now. Donald Trump demands darkness and silence on May 21st in the Oval Office. These are burial sites, over 1,000 of them. So he was accusing South African leaders of killing their own, the white farmers. And they are. There's no doubt about it. I have many South African friends. They are messianic, and they tell me how bad it is. Okay, but when Trump exposed them in public, oh poor France, they were so unhappy that their friends in South Africa that are communists were exposed. Trump had little regard for the government in Pretoria and even less for the African National Congress. Well, he shouldn't have any regard for them. They're horrible, horrible people that do neckties. Neckties is when you start a tire on fire and roll a person down the hill where they're inside the tire and they just burn to death and die as they roll. It's sick. Okay, Trump's strategy to reassert U.S. dominance. This is from International Viewpoint. I want you to see this. This is Sunday, today, November 30th. A puppet again, this lady named Ashley Smith. She's saying, let's make Chi. Chi makes China great again. So it's not MAGA, it's make China great again. That's what she's pushing for, okay? It's all gaslighting. It's all gaslighting. Done by Le Monde and by this International Viewpoint. And so it looks like Beijing has no choice but to respond to aggressive countermeasures of its own. And so, wow. So basically, it's Trump against the world, and he's winning for the moment. But they'll all come back and hate his guts, and they'll want to destroy him later on. I'll explain that when we get to the prophecy section. Okay, I'm arguing that London has fallen. New York City will follow. This is from the Independent Sentinel from M. Dowling, October 29th, so that's a month ago. And Newsmax, Rob Finnerty had the much banned but also almost accurate Katie Hopkins on his show to describe the changes in London since Sadiq took over in 2016. According to the Times of London, Sadiq is mentoring Zohran Mamdani in New York. This is an operation of communists and Islamists. Okay, I added the colors in there, but it is, and there's three parts of it too. The globalists too. So they want the Democratic Socialists of America want to take over the Democratic Party and overturn capitalism. Well, it'll destroy the world. Okay, on the right-hand side, this is from Elon Musk. It's a quote from X. When Tolkien wrote about the hobbits, he was referring to these wonderful little English shires who don't realize the horrors that take place far away. They were able to live their lives in peace and tranquility, but only because they were protected from the hard men of Gondor. What happened to the nice man who was brutally murdered while walking his dog will happen to all of England if the tide of illegal immigration is not turned. It is time for the English to ally with the hard men like Tommy Robinson and fight for their survival, or they will all die. London Bridge is falling down. The EU is filled with cowards. They need to start fighting. And Elon is correct. And he posts that all the time. So EU sabotaged Trump's Ukraine peace plan, The Guardian. The bloc has paid lip service to the U.S. proposal while slowly and politely smothering it. Okay, they want war. They want World War III. Down on the bottom, from James Holland from X, EU elites' inability to get to grips with the world or to appreciate the consequences of their actions is staggering. Trump was never going to respect them or play the doting father role to his predecessors, as his predecessors did, after they attacked and ridiculed him on his way to power. On the right-hand side, RT. We'll have a few RTs coming up here. Europe came to Geneva expecting a seat at the table. It left without a voice, a plan, or a clue. Trump's envoys dictated the terms, and Western Europe watched as Washington rewrote the script. Interesting. Down on the bottom, so I don't know who George is, but it's on X. No one really cares what the European Union can tolerate. The more salient is how long the world can tolerate the European Union. Trump is ignoring the EU altogether in the Ukraine negotiations. That's a measure of the EU's growing irrelevance. Okay, this is an older article from 8 months ago, but I want to show it because the godless EU pushes for World War III with Russia. Ukraine Summit Live. Starmer calls on Europe to step up as leaders meet, but they won't, and they don't. That's from the Sunday Times, and so it's got to be. It doesn't show the date, but that's fine. This is 6-8 months ago, and so Starmer's unhappy with Trump. They're all unhappy with Trump, but they're not going to step forward. They're cowards. Okay, and that's part of prophecy. We'll get there. You'll see it. Okay. Then this is weird too. So you can see who's working the back door on this. Obama. Okay, and so Obama and Comey and Brennan all went to meet with 10 Downing Street, okay, which is Keir Starmer, behind Trump's back. And that ticks him off, and it ticks me off. And so down below, you can see Alex Soros, the son of George Soros, meeting in Germany and receiving the prizes. And this is from Deutsche Welle, from their magazine just recently here, 10/23 of 25. George Soros receives prize for work in Roma. Sinti writes, he should not be receiving any prizes at all, but he's receiving the prizes in Berlin, right by the Pergamum Museum, which is the seat of Satan from Revelation 2:13. So the bottom line is, on the right-hand side from Jim Ferguson, all roads lead to London again. It's Obama again. So these are two sources saying Obama's running behind Trump constantly to the EU and saying, oh, we want peace in the world our way, which is bringing World War III. And Trump doesn't want that. So it's disgusting. These people should be thrown in jail for treason, but including Obama, but definitely Brennan and Comey. So two sources, they're proving that behind the scenes, Soros runs everything, and Klaus Schwab runs everything, and the EU is a mess. So who's running everything right now? It's actually Trump, for the moment. But eventually Satan's going to have his time. So get used to it. So what's going to occur based on how I interpret prophecy is there will be peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes. That's 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Trump's vision is peace, security, and prosperity. Fine. Okay. On the right-hand side, Ezekiel 38:11 talks about a time of Israel where their land will be unwalled villages. I will take by surprise, Gog will take by surprise these people who are at peace, living securely in all places without walls, gates, or bars. And I will attack the former ruins that are now inhabited and come against the people gathered from the nations. You see what's going on. So based on how I read Wilkerson and Duduman coming up, it seems like the logistics need to occur before World War III. So there are certain things that, like peace, and so everyone is screaming World War III is at our doorstep. I think they're wrong. It's going to push the Jews home, which is intriguing. It's part of the SEALs. So RT advertises it this way, that the U.S. peace plan that pushes Ukraine out of their land and Russia into that, it's not formulated completely yet. This is fairly recent information. This, I think I pulled on Wednesday. And so Russia has not received the peace plan. The Europeans unnecessarily interfere in Ukraine's peace process. Yep. World peace or world peace, we don't know yet. So European countries are preparing an emergency plan B to keep Ukraine funded if the deal on using Russia's frozen assets fails. While peace talks intensify and Kiev's cash crunch makes the issue urgent. So as I'm showing you behind the scene with van der Leyen, you've got Klaus Schwab, you've got her working behind the scenes illegally and trying to defeat Trump's plans of peace. So it's all sex, lies, and politics. It's the EU backdoor plan. So who's Palpatine? I'm arguing it's Klaus Schwab or Soros. Okay, but in my case, this is Wall Street Mav. On the left-hand side, Ukraine accepts the peace plan, except Ukraine won't stay neutral, wants NATO. They want to be a part of NATO, wants land back that Russia controls. That ain't going to happen. Russia wants NATO never in Ukraine, keeps land with Russian-speaking population. That seems to be what Trump is going to do. On the right-hand side, this is Promethean action. Very interesting people. I like Susan Kokinda. I don't know much about her, but I liked what she said in this video. Trump just locked the British Empire out of Ukraine peace deals, and they're panicking, and all of EU for that matter. While the G20 pretends to matter, Trump secured $1 trillion in deals and is dismantling the war machine brick by brick. That is what economic warfare against the empire looks like. So against the empire, it's Palpatine, and so Trump is kind of part of the good guys. Keep in mind, we'll move forward into the prophecy section shortly here. The old theory was the 10 horns of Revelation 13 and Daniel too, for that matter, but Revelation 17 were 10 EU kings. I'm arguing they are defeated. They are humiliated by Trump and the world. The new theory are the 10 horns are big tech. Okay, so let's go into the prophecy section of Revelation 17, and I'll give you my spin on this. Okay. Then the angel said to me, "Why are you astounded? I will tell you the hidden meaning of the woman." I believe that's the United Nations in New York City, and the beast. I believe that's yet to be determined who the beast is. And the 7 heads. I'm saying it's 7 U.S. presidents since 1969. Nixon, Ford are 1, Carter's number 2, Reagan's number 3, Bush Senior and Junior are number 4, and plus Cheney's in there too. Clinton's number 5. Oh, Biden is number 6. Number 7 is Trump. From the 7 will come the 8th, the Antichrist, we call him. And the 10 horns are 10 big tech billionaires that will carry her. Okay, that's Revelation 17:7. And it all fits into where we are today. So this calls for mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. Okay, so which country in the world runs the whole world and has 7 heads on 7 mountains, or 7 presidents? Only 4 or 5 of them are on the mountains right now, but Mount Rushmore, on which the woman is sitting. Also, there are 7 kings. 5 have fallen. One that's Obama, and the second term, 47, is not yet. When he does come, he must be for a little time, so Trump won't last the length of his term. The beast, which once was and now is not, is an 8th. That's the Antichrist. It comes from the 7, I'm arguing U.S. presidents, and goes to Sheol, hell. And the 10 horns are big tech that you sawest. And the 10, I'm arguing that's big tech, who a kingdom did not yet receive. That's what it says in the text. So it's hosts in the Greek. And so big tech has no lands, but authority, as again, hosts, Greek similar to kings, for the same hour did receive with the beast. These have one mind. The word there is gnome instead of nous. Nous would be brain, your physical brain. Gnome is like computer programming. Okay, so it flips out. That's the cool thing about the Greek and the Hebrew. It changes. And their own power and authority to the beast they shall give over. These with the Lamb shall make war, and the Lamb shall overcome them. Okay, so that's Revelation 17, 9 through 14a. King Charles is not the Antichrist. I don't care how you want to quote Revelation 13. It may deceive people living on the earth by the miracles it's allowed to perform. He's not doing any miracles. He may have these weird signs of the forehead and the right hand, but he's not the guy, okay? And he's not going to make an image, and he's not involved with big tech, and he's going to die from pancreatic cancer. So for those guys like Tim Cohen and Craig Bong, and I love Monty Judah. I do. I love Monty dearly. We just chatted the other day for the first time, but they're wrong. It's not King Charles III. Okay, so you can read the rest of this yourself if you want to, but basically, no, he's not the guy, and it'll be somebody else. And it's not 10 European kings. It's not. And yes, the typology works. The woman riding the beast, they're part of it too. I mean, it's worldwide. The UN is worldwide. The famous Tower of Babel by Bruegel was used to design, basically based off the building in Babylon. So the old eschatological model was based on Rome becoming Europe and beginning 10 end times kings. It just doesn't work, not even close. Love Missler, disagree with Missler almost across the board now. Pre-trib rapture, wrong. The 7 particular nations over here, Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Roman Empire, revived Roman Empire. No, it's meaningless today. What I just gave you with Trump being the 7th makes sense, okay? And it then moves into big tech. None of these particular empires from ancient history would be able to move into big tech or even have anything to do with the EU or whatever. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So they're always going to push you for the Antichrist and his 10 kings, which are 10 kings, and the EU 7-year treaty with Israel. That's not going to be the case. Obviously, they're being pushed out of that 7-year treaty with Israel. Okay, it'll be the U.S. And so that's why you have to start thinking about the most powerful nation in the world and the king of the world, which is Trump. Okay, new big tech or sleepy old EU kings. None of these people have any power whatsoever, and so give it up. And they're jokers over in the EU. They're laughable. Okay, and so lower left hand side tonight, Trump name checked countries that played a significant role in peace agreement. UK was not included, nor was France, nor Canada, nor Australia. The recognizers. Okay, and look at Keir Starmer's face. George is rather interesting. She can't hide her emotions. 4 major Western nations recognize Palestinian state to fury of Israel. Okay, so that was when they fell. That's when they became jokers. Okay, so the UK, France, Canada, Australia, Portugal recognized Palestinian statehood. That's when they fell. Okay, so once again, Georgia from Italy has made a move to reclaim Italy's 300 billion in gold reserves from the EU central bank. The EU is collapsing in real time. That's inevitable, West. That's funny. And where's the gold going to build up Ursula von der Leyen's beautiful bathroom? Ridiculous. Okay, so on the right hand side, Ursula is not elected by the people. Nobody in Europe likes her. She will generate economic collapse in the EU, secure our country's gold reserves now elsewhere. So she wants to put the gold in America. Tickle Truth or Trickle Truth down in the bottom says they have all gorged on U.S. dollars, and now is the time to bail out of a ship they helped to steer into the rocks going back to 2004. Rats now jumping. Many will drown while their political elite will go down and park their millions in Miami, or like the end of World War II, escape to Argentina. South America again, okay? Latin America. The Ten Horns, I'm arguing that, and even Gary Stearman and Mondo, and Mondo's rather brilliant. I'm starting to love Mondo more. He's a smart man. So anyway, the main thing is these are becoming more clear over time, and they were obvious, but it's just you're finally seeing the big tech billionaires are the guys, okay? And so just look that direction. Once again, big tech firms now act like nation states, says Orwell. So you saw it in the verses that I quoted to you, okay? And so America seems to be, and especially New York City of the UN, Mystery Babylon. But also, these presidents seem to be the guys that got it moving. And the Ten Horns operate as billionaire global kings without lands or titles. It all matches up. Pause it if you want to and read the article. It's an interesting article. Okay, so what time is it? I've got friends that are claiming war, war, war. Michael Snyder's brilliant, but he's wrong. And Ben Baruch, for that matter, too. Not war yet. You have to wait for the peace. There's a process that we'll go through. So pause if you want to again, but basically I'm saying, no, we'll wait. We'll wait. Okay, so this is the burning platform, Gladio alert, when the CIA coordinated color revolution morphs into a full-blown American Bolshevik revolution. Wow. Cover Revolution Black Op, a classic CIA destabilization tactic strategically executed 2 blocks from the White House. Yeah, that's the problem. So the only reason why a CIA-linked Afghan terrorist would ever shoot 2 National Guardsmen is because he was ordered to do so by his U.S. intelligence community Black Op handlers. Wow. So these are color revolutions. I'll explain it. Don't worry. Okay, so another person's, General Mike Flynn, brilliant man, is saying there's a color revolution going on with these 6 insiders that are, saying to the military, don't follow orders, and so Flynn is correct. We're witnessing the early stage of an internal physical component called a color revolution. Anyone who thinks the Afghan shooter was a lone actor is missing the larger strategy. Wow. The shooter is no longer working for us, according to the CIA. Wow. Okay. I worked with the so-called best of the best Afghanistan Terps and local national military during my deployment. I did not trust any of them as far as I could throw them. I'm sick and tired of hearing former military contractors, American citizens, whining about their Afghan buddies left behind and how patriotic they are. None of them should have been allowed to immigrate since they were too cowardly to remain and fight for their homeland. And I'm blanking on who said that, but wow. Okay, so I had Alex Newman on my show just Wednesday evening. Leftist Marxists preparing now to take over America with the color revolution. So this is from Greg Hunter. You can watch his video anytime you want to. It's a Saturday Night Post. I just started reading it or watching it a little bit this morning. General Michael Flynn, former head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, agrees with Newman. General Flynn says there is an ongoing color revolution to overthrow the U.S. government, and he thinks President Trump should let the country know how dire things are. Newman says they are preparing something enormous, and if Donald Trump does not get ahead of this, I think this is going to be a very rough ride. I think it is going to be a rough ride if he does not get ahead of this. I agree 100% with Michael Flynn. Donald Trump needs to have a fireside chat and explain to the American people how bad it is that they're starting a color revolution. So, what's a color revolution? These movements are typically aimed to overthrow authoritarian or semi-authoritarian governments and replace them with regimes. They're supposed to be democratic and pro-Western, but it's actually coming in as Islamic, and then radical Marxism. Okay, and so there's the Rose Revolution in Georgia, the Orange Revolution, the Tulip Revolution, the Cedar Revolution, and so they were all supposed to be peaceful, but they aren't. They aren't. They become violent, and we're already seeing that. So all of these guys are talking about these color revolutions. Be aware of that as you hear that term being bantered about. Okay, now we're in the final section of prophecy. So this is Wilkerson, and the crash is coming. I see total economic confusion striking Europe first, then affecting Japan, then the United States, Canada, and all of the other nations shortly thereafter. Okay, he actually said in the video, his sermon, Germany. So think about Europe, but also Germany. Okay, and Germany's kind of quiet right now. On the right-hand side, it will not work. People will distrust these statements, and their fears will lead to a revolution at the polls. So the United States is going to be they'll overreact to confused economical developments. Interesting. So this is the vision, okay? And an economic recession will start in Germany, spread to Japan, and then finally to the United States. Thank you, David. He's dead now. He died in 2011. The Great Holocaust follows an economic collapse in America. The enemy will make its move when we are weak and helpless. So Dumitru Duduman and others have specific prophetic warnings about our days. The time is very close. Duduman said it will start with a revolution started by the communists. Wilkerson called it a civil war. There will also be financial holocaust. America's last call on the brink of a financial holocaust. That's what he wanted to call it, but he didn't want to say Holocaust, but God told him that he had to say it that way. Okay? God's words. The warnings of suitcase nukes from Michael Boldea and other prophets going off in American cities would cause both a financial holocaust and a physical holocaust. Wilkerson said there would be mass graves using bulldozers because they'll never be able to bury the dead. That's from my friend Don, compiling things. The vision, again, opinions on Wilkerson's prophecies. Government projects, social aid programs are all being cut back as Doge is doing it now. And I believe this is where it will lead. Also, there will be a dramatic troop withdrawals from Europe. Europe has already been told to defend themselves and stop freeloading on the U.S. That's done again. So you can see more riots and demonstrations on the left-hand side. You can pause any of these and read whatever you want to read, but there's going to be more riots and demonstrations, and Wilkerson is right. It's happening, people. And the color revolution. People will fight against the government. He said, remember this, Dumitru. The Russian spies have discovered where the nuclear warehouses are in America. When the Americans think it's peace and safety from the middle of the country, some of the people will start fighting against, I believe, the Trump's government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Now, I want you to really read this, okay? Then from the ocean, from Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, South America, Latin America, he told me to other countries, but I didn't remember what they were. They will bomb nuclear warehouses. When they explode, America will burn. So you see the connection, all of this together, okay? Leaders of the European common market will capitalize on this anti-American sentiment to establish a firmer power base and grip on world trade. The world's economic power base will shift to Europe. Whew. Well, they're pathetic, okay? But the U.S. should be blamed at some point in time here, okay? So the process that we're going through right now, it's taking time. Wars and rumors of wars, peace, then safety and the logistics involved with safety, then Gog and World War III. So that's when you'll get your war at the end. And you can pause it and read the verses if you want to that talk about peace and safety. Okay, where are we? We're in the birth pangs. We're not in the tribulation. We're not in the great tribulation. That's an odd slide. That was not supposed to be the slide. It's supposed to be the EU falls. You're going to get married someday at a Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, or Sukkot. What garments will you wear? It's a wedding. You can't be naked. Thank you for your time. This was a long video. Thank you for giving me 34 minutes of your time. God bless. Good night.